Welcome to the Women's Business Society podcast, where you can listen to the experts who I pick their brains for hot tips and tricks to help grow your business. Thank you to our major sponsor, Book It Bookkeeping, and a shout out to all our members, with a special mention to So Beautiful, who provides all the gifts at our WBS networking events. Hi everyone, joining us today is Androulla from EmpowerBeyond to talk about ways to build momentum and increase cash flow in your business. Thank you for joining us today, Androulla.
Thank you, Cassandra, for having me. I'm very excited about sharing some tips with the women in WBS group and helping them with building momentum. And one of the other key things is actually generating more cash flow in their business, because as many people know that, the key to sustaining a business is the money coming through the doors and being able to keep the doors open.
Yeah. And what's really good actually is that we have listeners all over the world. So we're looking at stats, and they're in America, they're in the UK. So it's quite broad, our listeners. So you're going to be inspiring and helping a lot more women than you probably think in this podcast. So which is really, really exciting. Very, very exciting. So before we get into the juicy parts, can you please share with us more about yourself? So, what's your business, why you started, when did you start, and just so we can get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I basically worked most of my time in corporate, so probably about 18 years. Had my diploma, or still have my, my degree in accounting. So my background's accounting, but I was very, very fortunate to work for an amazing company, Toyota, the car manufacturing company in Melbourne, Australia, and worked for them for 14 years. And while I was working with them, I was fortunate enough to experience working with the guys in the plant, working on the operations of the business and how that actually affected their financial results. So what I was able to do was understand how to standardize work, how to make things more efficient, manage cash flow as well. And I really, really enjoyed that aspect of it. But for me, after, almost hitting 40, I started reassessing my personal life and my family. I've got two boys. They're aged 13 and the other one's turning 16 this year. I had to actually reassess everything. So working in corporate was great, and it provided a certain, financial security for me, but also the learning and the growth that I needed, which I didn't realize at the time was going to help me with setting up my business. Yeah. So what happened was I had a bit of a realization that I was a workaholic. I loved working. I loved doing what I did. But I had to find some boundaries in my life. Yeah. And that's when I decided, how can I do what I love, but on my own terms? So what I ended up doing, and again, I was going through ups and downs, and I don't even know why I did this, but it must have been a reason. I actually did a diploma in life coaching. It took me 2 years to do it. So while I was still working at Toyota, I ended up doing a coaching diploma. Little did I know that was a real big essential to starting my business consultancy, because what I realised was I can help people with their process and products and services, but I needed to understand the people, and the people are the biggest asset to your business. Yeah. Question between that. Because that mindset is a massive part of being an entrepreneur, male or female. It's what drives you every day. If you have a good mindset, bad mindset, it affects so many things, business related, not only just the motivational side. But how did the life coaching help you? Was there any sort of light bulb moments for you, or anything that you picked up for yourself? Because often we reflect on helping other people, but how did that studying and process help you? Because I've done that course, and I know you very much start within. So what came out? What came out for you? Well, what happened for me, and it affected every part of my life. Now, I was actually going through a bit of a slump at work. And I could see it. I could actually see it even in the type of how I was responding to situations. And I was just blaming everybody and making up excuses why we weren't getting things done at work, right? Yeah. And what I realized is I've got to start taking control of the outcomes that I want. And I actually turned things around even in the corporate world. It was amazing. And then I started feeling happy about who I was. I actually got to a point at one stage in my life where I actually wasn't pleased about who I was becoming.
Okay.
I felt like I was an ugly person, to be honest. Like it just didn't, I just didn't feel right. And I didn't like the person I was becoming. And only until years later, I actually had people say to me, Androulla, back then you were a bit of a, bitch kind of thing, or you were a bit abrupt or, and I thought, I wish people had told me that. I couldn't actually see it.
Yeah, but would you have listened if you probably would have called them a bitch back. That's the thing that, friends know that that's your own journey, that saying that is not going to make you nicer the next day. It's probably going to piss you off more.
Yeah. So for me, like doing the coaching actually changed not only myself, but even my staff members. Like we even went through a whole reshuffle at work, and one of my staff members left, and that person wasn't going to be replaced. And I went into action and said, okay, what is it that we can do with the resources we have?
Yeah.
And it got me to take action on things that we probably should have done a long time ago.
So definitely doing life coaching made you more mindful.
Very much so, yes.
Yeah. And this is what I really try to tell women in business, is that's actually where you need to start. You need to combine, the mindset part with the business, because you need them to match. Because if you're not being mindful of things, then you're not seeing those warning signs, and, those blocks come up, and it takes you years. This is a book I'm actually writing about. This is about blocks and recognizing them and then smashing through them. And eventually you get better, don't you? You just smash, and you get through the other end. But you have to be mindful. And, for you, that was so beautiful that you decided to do that. Do life coaching and recognize some of those things and make some changes, because you can't preach that unless you've done it yourself. So you have that ultimate gift. Brilliant.
Yeah, and that's why I know that it's very important to work on yourself before you expect others, to expect any change. A change has to happen within yourself first. And
that's a painful process. That's painful. You're like, oh my God, I'm really like this. I didn't know it was like this.
Yeah.
And it takes time, but I think you owe it to, I always say you owe it to your business and you owe it to your customers. If they're really important to you, those two things, you have to start from within, and it's the most beautiful process to go through, is actually unraveling yourself. Because I think business, it shines a light on you first, because if you're not doing a very good job, your business is failing. And you need to connect the two and not project that on, it's Facebook's problem. They change algorithms. Oh, now Instagram, it's all these sexy 19-year-olds and they're taking all the space. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, people project that and not really, they need to look within and sort of work out, okay, do I actually know what I'm doing? What help do I need? What support do I need? And put your hand up. And this fake it till you make it thing, that can really hold a lot of people back, because they're not putting up their hand. And then those businesses, they're the ones, I get the call saying, can you please remove my listing? I'm going back to work. And that kills me. I actually got shivers just saying that. I got one of those calls this week. I'm like, no, you were the one I never heard from. You're the one that never put up your hand. And that's what happens. You will fail. So I literally do have goosebumps. It makes me so sad.
Yeah. And the thing is, you do have to put yourself out there, and you do have to get yourself out of your comfort zone. Like, it has to, you have to get those knots in your stomach and think, oh my gosh, I'm really scared about this. And I must say, I was really scared about, exiting the corporate world and deciding to work in my business full time, because the first thing I thought, and this is something that I had to speak with my husband about, because at the 6-month point when I was in my business, I sort of broke down and said, is this going to work? And the thing that came up for me was, am I being selfish? Am I looking after my own needs before my family?
Yeah.
And I guess then I realized that I wasn't doing this just for myself. I was doing this for my family for the longer term, not just the short term and the now. I had to set things up for the longer term. And yes, we were going to I guess I say prioritize. I don't say sacrifice, but we have to prioritize things in our life.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know that conversation very well. My husband always says, no, you are not going back to work. You are going to stick to this business. And they are the best at putting you in line because, it is tough. It takes time. You have to invest money in your business. And, it does take time to build these sorts of things. But you do need sometimes that voice, a real voice, not just the one in your head, because sometimes that is, you think you're just telling yourself lies. You need a real voice to say, no, you need to keep on going. Need to keep on going, and you are doing this for a greater purpose. And I always think if a woman decides to run her own business and she spends the next 10 years building a business, people don't realize how much value that can actually bring to a company if you decided to go back to work. So you think of all the skills that you have developed, project management, blah, 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 all these things that you've developed through running a business, it is for your family because you'll be learning things that you probably wouldn't actually learn in a workplace when you're doing one role. People get quite scared. If I give up work, I'll never be able to go back. I'm going to exit the corporate world. Well, the corporate world is a little bit different now where they do value entrepreneurs and their skills that they have.
And there's a lot of stuff. And even before I left the corporate world, there was stuff that I was learning through my coaching that I remember I actually did a presentation. It was only 15 minutes, but what I had learned through coaching, I actually did a presentation to the finance department, and the manager actually said, "Well, that was a different perspective of how you're looking at stuff." Yeah, and instead of going in there and talking about numbers and our targets and all that, I came in with the soft skills. Yeah. And it was like, and that really got me and thought, this is something that's really missing even for corporations, that they need to probably start bringing some of that stuff out. And to be honest, I wasn't exposed to any of this stuff until I started my business. Yeah,
it depends, and it depends on the company that you work for. I think a lot of big companies are realizing, that work-life balance, and especially for me being in Europe, I see the difference. Like I've seen companies like Swedish companies, they, they're really good. They have Friday night drinks, everyone gets together. They have people coming in like fitness people and psychologists and talking to their staff, and they create a family environment. And we forget that we're all human beings. Like we all, we can only last so long getting up in the morning, getting on that freeway, driving to work, sitting at our desk, wearing something that we probably don't want to be wearing. It's not comfortable, with a tie around our neck. And there's only so long you can, get up and do that to the point where you start feeling a little bit depressed, and then the work, the office is not there to support you. And I think, within companies, they need to adopt more of a mindful office or support because people leave companies when they're not happy. And try to find the green grass on the other side.
On the other side,
but it's not there. You're like, we're human beings. I think I think it's something that is growing on people. I think when people think of personal development, it's like Tony Robbins, the guru, and there's so many people that who don't want to hear about that. But I think people are realizing, hold on a minute, it's okay. We're human beings. We have feelings. We need to express them and talk about them.
Yeah. So, and I mean, I must be honest. Even when I heard the word, your coaching and all that, it was all new to me. I had no idea what it was all about. But again, I was open-minded to it. And it to me, it's got to be part of my life now. And, where you talked about being aware, now I catch myself. If I say key words, or if I say the word I tried or I can't, they're things that I no longer want to, use in my vocabulary. There's stuff that I'm eliminating them or minimizing them as much as possible, because that's when I catch myself and saying, Androulla, this is where you're thinking below the line, which is something that I want to talk about on this thingo, is where, we start going in that disempowering side of things for ourselves, and that we're coming up with excuses and we're blaming the world, and, we keep focusing on the problem, but let's put that energy towards a solution.
Yeah. And especially when you're in that coaching industry, it's so important. I mean, you're doing coaching, so you are mindful, but not just for yourself. It's when you're speaking to the people, even customers, you can see things that are coming up for them and you can straight away go, no, I don't want to work with that person. That's not going to be a good fit. You know, people that just come in with a bunch of excuses, you go, you're actually not ready. Because when someone's ready for coaching, they're coming in with their eyes wide open, teach me, help me, help me. People that come in with excuses, you're going to be, your head's going to be going against a brick wall. There's some people I speak to, and even my husband, sometimes you're blocked. I can see it. That means you're blocked. And sometimes I wish I didn't know that, because you see it. It's so obvious when people say things, really what they're saying. So it's beneficial to be, to know this stuff. And other times you're like, you can read people too well.
And you can catch it in their leg. And now, like for me, when I'm having conversations with people, I really just want to listen. I want to hear what they're saying. I want to hear the key words that are coming up for them and really understand where they're at right now. So,
we're doing that to each other. I'm listening to what you're saying as well, Androulla.
It actually takes, when people say, I've got to have a meeting and I'm scared, I don't know what to say. Yeah. I say to people, you know what? Just go there and listen.
Yes. Yeah.
Because you will get more from and understand the person in front of you just from listening and picking up on some of their key language, the key words that they use or the language that they use.
Yes.
Then you'll be able to determine, is this someone you can help? And are they willing to do the work that they need to do to move forward?
Yes.
And I was just going to say, you touched on something really, really important there that really affected my decision-making. And I always say this to people as to when you lose your focus, was the values. So one of the I've got 3 key values in my life and my business. I think they're all aligned. Yeah. One of them is being reliable.
Yes.
The other one is being passionate, and the last one is committed. Yeah. So if any time throughout my day I feel like I'm not playing 100% to those 3 values, I've got to question, how can I change this? What is it that I need to do to ensure that I'm aligned with my values?
Yeah.
Okay. They're the key things that drive my activities every single day. If I feel like I'm losing the passion, if any day I'm feeling like, today I really can't be bothered, I have to say to myself, why am I feeling this way and how did I get to this point?
Yeah.
What is it that I need to change to ignite that passion again?
Yeah. That's really good. But that's because you're mindful. You can catch yourself that you're doing that you're not, you can catch yourself, and that's really important. So I would suggest, if you listen to this now, just write down those 3 values. And if you are, not upholding those values, to take a bit of a time out and see how you can realign yourself. I think that is really, really important. Very important.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So what are we up to? We haven't even started our podcast. There you go, people. There's all the value for you. We're finished. I think that was pretty good. Right. Okay. No. So we went, what is your business? No. What is your business? Please tell us. I don't think we even went. We haven't. Sorry, people. This is going to be a long podcast. Get yourself a coffee and enjoy this one. Okay. So your business is EmpowerBeyond.
Yep.
So who is your favorite type of client? Because they're the ones that obviously your business is doing really well, so you're serving the right people. And tell us, how do you help them?
Okay. So I've got 2 different clientele that I work with.
Yeah.
One is where they're solopreneurs. They've been working for themselves for maybe about a year and upwards. Mm-hmm. Still haven't found their feet, haven't built momentum. Income is coming in, but not as much as what they would like. So what they're looking for is, in some instances, they're overwhelmed by everything that's going on. So with them, I sort of work with, let's create a business model that's going to help you bring in steady income and really simplify your systems and processes, right? Then I have another avenue where I work with business owners who have staff. The business has grown, but what's happened is it's grown so quickly that they haven't put in systems in place, and they haven't standardized process. Also, they may not have set KPIs or targets for themselves, so they're just accepting what's turning up.
Okay.
And so what we tend to do is, look, what I've done with a lot of business owners is either looked at cost reduction in their business. So there's been businesses where I've saved them $50K a year just by reviewing what they're currently doing. And also I've actually helped increase their income by looking at what they're doing with their time.
Yeah.
So the thing is, a lot of people say, I don't have the time to do that, or I don't know where I could fit this in. And we go through an exercise where they start realizing, wow, the stuff that I'm doing is not really being productive. I'm feeling busy, but am I being productive?
Yeah.
Okay. So most of the people that come to me are either in those two stages of their business.
And just to say, that point right there is the most valuable sit down with a coach you can get, because I understand what you're saying. People do this. People are saying, I'm busy, or I can't do this. It's like, okay, well, show me what the money that your business is bringing in, and show me what you're doing. Because if something's not working, they're not doing the right thing, but for some reason people keep whipping that horse and the horse is not moving, but I think if they just keep whipping it with the same type of whip, it's going to move. Yeah. And because, like, the ego is your worst enemy in business. And if you've got an ego, you don't put your hand up and you don't face reality, because that's going to hurt your ego. So, to sit down with someone who knows what they're doing, like yourself, can sit there and go, okay, so if we just, stop doing this and replace it with this, then you do have time, because that's actually not important. That's hurting your business. And you need someone who's very mindful like yourself, someone who knows about business to help you. And I think if your business is not doing well, you actually really that's where you need to start putting your money before you start, recruiting a social media marketer and a this and a that. You need to look at your business and to make sure that you're doing the right things and the right, all that's really, really important. So that I believe is so valuable, so valuable.
And what you also said about, people doing, their social media or the back end, what I'm finding is a lot of them are trying to steer away from what they really need to be doing, and they're procrastinating, getting out of their comfort zone, and they're doing stuff that's really not going to bring in the income that they need to bring in. And I can tell you now, I'm talking from experience. I went through this myself, so I totally understand. Yeah. And this is why I'm putting it out there for people to know that, you know what, it's okay to ask for help. Yeah. And ask people that have already been through this process, that already understand how you're feeling and how this is affecting your life. Okay. So, that there is a real key that you get the right support, that you acknowledge that things need to change. And that's the first step, actually being aware that this is happening, and then saying to yourself, I think I need to make changes.
Yeah. And don't, we all have, I don't know if you have mantras, but I have mantras in my head that when I'm sort of getting a bit stuck, I'll say it to sort of unstick myself. And, one is don't let your ego get in the way of growing a business. Because when you feel as though I don't want anyone to know this. And I get these messages from women, I don't want anyone to know that I need help with this because I'm supposed to be an expert in this. It's like, do you know if you let them know this, that will actually help your business grow? If you're vulnerable in that way, then they will, people want to connect with you more. We don't know everything. I mean, that is ridiculous. If we did know everything, we would be,
you wouldn't be an expert in your field anyway.
Yeah, so exactly, no one is. We're learning every day, and I get quite frustrated with some entrepreneurs because I'm like, you do not know everything. You never will, because things are always changing. Anything you are is quite egotistic, and it's not true and borderline. I can't remember that word I was going to say, but it's not. That's not good to think that you are going to be the guru. I mean, you're not a professor in that area, and still that professor's still learning. So don't let your ego get in the way of growing a business. And that is the biggest downfall for women, is that they do want to feel like they do know it all. And that is a block. There's something that's and this is what I've heard a lot, like because I have an opportunity to speak with a lot of business owners. Yeah. You may think that when you're going out networking and everyone says they're doing really great in business,
But behind the scenes, that's not always happening for people. And I I take my hat off to those people that actually do ask for help and say, look, this is my position at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm lacking this, or this, and I need some guidance. Are you able to help me? Rather than pretend and constantly pretend, and they're actually doing damage to themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We all need to work together and ask questions. And you see that on the WBS, our private page. Yeah. So always just ask. And then I get private messages like, no, we all need to ask each other. We all need to be vulnerable, and we need to, grow together and share the information. And it's okay. People won't start buying off you because they think that you might not know this. Because, those friendships are often formed when you have a discussion, and it's often when you're a bit vulnerable that then someone else feels like, oh, I can help them. And, there you go.
It's really, look, I think, and even for myself, even though I do business consulting, I have had a number of mentors help me with my business on different aspects of what I needed. So, it'll be a little bit hypocritical if I never got help for my own business, and here I am selling the similar service. Do you know what I mean? Because I believe that everyone needs some guidance on different elements of their business at some time.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think that's just a stage that, people go through when they just feel like they're having to prove something, and really you have to prove something to your customers. They're the people you have to prove something to, and that is listening to them, asking them questions. What are they needing? And listening to what's important to them. And so removing yourself from the equation and focusing on what's important makes you hungry for the information. If you're sitting there going, I don't know how to do this, but if I ask someone, they think, blah, blah, blah. Well, your customer, they're just waiting for you to sort your shit out. Sorry, I just swore on my own podcast, and I don't normally swear, and I have to pay $1 to my kids now for swearing. So, they're waiting for you to get over yourself, to ask the questions, because they just want you to serve them or provide a good product to them. So get out of your own way, go ask the question and move on. And I think we've all done that, sat there and just stared at the window and thought too much about something.
And this, I guess, leads also to another point that I'm finding a lot with, especially my solopreneurs that I'm working with. It's the follow-up process. So what's happening is, someone might be interested or wants to have a chat with them, and it's like they put a hold on it. They don't know what to, they sort of freeze up and don't contact someone. And I'm thinking, isn't that what you want? Like, you're actually sabotaging your own business here. So, a lot of them are coming to me even from a perspective of, how do I do the follow-ups? When I have the meeting with them, what do I say? And, I've followed a process for myself that works for me, but I've made it my own unique way. So you still have to bring your uniqueness. You still have to be authentic in the way you speak. But there's still got to be a bit of a structure so that it sort of flows, and that you both walk away knowing that there was a specific outcome from it.
Yeah. And it's creating your own formula as well. I mean, and the thing about follow-up, I mean, it is quite scary. It is very scary for people to do that. And, when I feel that myself, I always just say, stop thinking. Shut up, Kaz. Stop thinking. Just stop thinking and just do it. I mean, I always had a fear of getting on phones. Even as a child, I'd write down, "Hi, my name is Cassandra." Da da da. I didn't like it. I just wanted to always be perfect and say the right thing. But stop thinking. Remove yourself from the equation. Again, it's always just even though you're a big part of it, you have to also remove your own brain from business. And if I want to really help this person, I have to follow up. So if you are really passionate about serving that person, you will follow up. So anyone in that stage is still stuck in the first zone of it's about them. It's about them. But getting on that call is that next stage, and you'll do it faster. You got to do the first one, the second one. Eventually you just go, okay, you get in the rhythm. But it is removing yourself. It's not about you. It's not about your fears. It's about helping. Reverse it.
Exactly. So I say that you're actually doing a disservice to this person because you're not actually offering anything to them. So you actually need to have a conversation with them. And like you said, don't make it about you. Be present for them and take the focus off yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. That is one I think it hits so many women really, and especially if you're working from home. You know, you're like right now, I'm sitting, you know, in the recording studio and I'm by myself. And when I finish this, I'll be by myself. And there's no one to sort of talk to about, you know, what I've just done this morning. You know, we're doing something quite great right now. We're doing a podcast going to be shared and help people. But you don't have, there's no boost around. There's no one patting you on the back. So your confidence in business is always tested because there's no, you know, rewards for it, only through your customers. So, you know, that confidence in business gets hit quite hard, and you are always building yourself back up. I can do this. It's okay. I'm worthy. You know, all that self-positive talk that you have to do. But that's a real struggle. And I'd actually love to touch on this at one of our events. And maybe you could do this next year, is actually speak about this topic of follow-up and maybe a formula we can put together, you know. And I know I spoke to Excelling Direct Sales. We went through this.
Yep.
Yeah, and about the amount of days and all this sort of thing. I think that really helps because it's an area that women are really struggling, and that is affecting because their business, because they're warm leads.
Yeah, they're definitely warm leads. And, you know, it's, you know, I think people want to know step by step, what do I say? And, you know, you do have to have some framework behind it.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, you've got to be, you know what, you've got all the resources in your head, right? So you don't need to blur out everything. Another thing is that I find a lot of people give out too much information.
Yeah.
And then people tend to think that they can go off and do things on their own. So, you know, I always say just sit back and listen and see what they need, what help they need. And then if you're both suited to each other, then you go off and offer them what services you can provide them with.
Exactly. And it's practice. I think, you know, you have to know that the first time you go out and do something, just go, I'm probably going to fail at this. That's what I say to myself. It's probably just not going to work. And that's fine, because if you go in there with too much expectation, your brain is saying, I have to do my best. No, practice. Just keep practicing and you get better. And, you know, this is why at WBS events, every single event since we started, you get up and you talk about your business. And I do that every single time, even though you might know them all, you have to get up and do it because you will refine it. You will, you know, get a 20-second intro to your business. You got to keep practicing, and you just eventually it just gets easy. There's no magic formula for any of this. You have to breathe and move forward and get covered in crap and feel like, oh my God, I did really bad at that. And then you just get up and you just do it again. And we all had to do that. We all had to do that.
We all do. And I look back at some of my, you know, sessions that I've had with people, or conversations that I've had, and I'm thinking, what was I thinking? Oh my God, why do you even say that? But you know what? I wouldn't be where I am if I hadn't gone through that journey.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Right. Have we started the podcast yet? Did we do the what, the why, and the when? I think we covered all that.
Yeah. So,
When did you start? When did you start your business? What year?
So my business started in August 2016.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, you know, the first year I think I was still working at Toyota, so still working full time.
Yeah.
Started the business and studying coaching. Put in the long hours, but knew that it was all worth it. Like, where, you know, I wouldn't change a thing.
No, it sounds like you're really, you've worked through a lot of things for yourself, and you are able to help so many women. Or do you work with do you work with just women in business?
No, I'm working with both males and females. Predominantly the age group that I'm coming across at the moment is probably 35 up to 60 years of age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So it's a different range. I sort of don't, I work with both male and female.
Okay. So let's actually get into the juicy bits. The topic, if we've forgotten from half an hour ago, is ways to build momentum and increase cash flow in your business. So I'm going to give you the reins now and share everything to help in this area for a woman to grow a business. So it's all yours.
Okay. All right. Okay. So today what I want to really talk about is, like Cassandra said, is ways to build momentum and increase cash flow in your business. And I think the key here is the building the momentum. And as we spoke about before, it's not, yes, we're going to fall down sometimes, but it's about picking yourself up and keep moving. And what I want to cover today is probably 4 elements of how to build that momentum, but also the 4 keys and the foundations that sort of brings your whole business together. So what I might do is maybe cover the 4 foundations and then get really into the detail of what they are, okay? The first thing I want to really talk about is the mindset side of it. Now, I know this made a huge change for me, but being conscious about what I was thinking and how on a day-to-day basis, those thoughts that come to my mind actually affected my next steps and my actions, okay? So when I talk about mindset, the things that come up for you, say for instance, I'll just draw the line and tell you where there's the different levels. So I call it above the line, which is empowering thinking, and really gets you taking control of situations. And then we've got the below the line, which is it's disempowering, and you're basically saying, I wipe my hands of this, I can't control this situation, right?
Yeah.
Now, with above the line, it's really about focusing on the positive aspects of things. So say, for instance, let me give you an example here. If something goes wrong, are you the type, would you go and blame somebody about it, or would you go and take responsibility for it and say, what is it that I could have done differently to get a different outcome, rather than blame somebody or blame technology for the results that you got?
Are you asking me the question?
No, I'm just saying I'm getting people to think that way. Like I'm just
Depends what mood I'm in. Depends what mood I am. No, but that's true. And don't we always tell our children that? Stop making excuses. Take responsibility. This is the first thing I was thinking of. Take responsibility. How could you do it differently? But as adults, the ego gets in the way, and it's so much easier to pick the first one, isn't it? Blame someone else, because then you don't have to change anything. But that next level is going, what could I have done differently? Because like we teach our kids, you are also in the argument. You are also there. You are present. So you are part of the whole situation. So you can't just decide then to remove yourself and go, I had nothing to do with this.
Yeah. So that's one element, exactly that point. So it actually is very empowering to know that you can actually make a change to the outcome. Do you know what I mean? So this is, it is very empowering to be able to do that. Another, focus of an example of above and below the line is, when something goes wrong, how many times people just sort of go on and on about this is the problem, this is what's been going on, and they do nothing about it. So there could be, for instance, I'll just use manufacturing as an example. A machinery breaks down. They talk about the problem, this is what it's affecting now, but then they're putting all their energy to that side of it, rather than saying, you know what, guys, what is it that we can do to fix this problem right now? Do we go and call a technician? Do we get another part? Like, that is more empowering and working towards getting an outcome that's a positive outcome. Right. So, and how many times do we play the victim? Do you know what I mean? This is always happening to me. Why am I always the one, getting the knockbacks, that kind of thing. So I want people to just be a little bit more aware of where they're playing, whether they're playing above the line or below the line, and start just even making a few small changes, even being aware of your language that you're using, because once you, I guess it's the thoughts that you happen, the thoughts then start determining what actions you're going to take, and the actions then determine the outcomes you're going to get, which are really important for your business, okay? So that's what I wanted to cover from a perspective of from mindset, because I know I've got a lot more to cover. The other part I want, and I think it's very critical, is you need to have a plan in place for your business. So, you can have a 5-year plan, but if 5 years seems too far out for you, maybe break it down and do a yearly plan and then break that plan down to the months or even the quarters. I actually plan every single day. So because for me, time is valuable. And I'll share with you a technique of how I basically plan, and also about, when we were talking before about the busyness versus the productivity side of it.
Yeah.
We in business, we get paid, like from my perspective, I get paid based on outcome driven, not about the hours that I'm contributing.
Yeah.
Okay. So we move away from that hourly rate, but more about outcome. And so for me, and I say to, even my clients, you don't have to necessarily work 8 hours to get the same outcome at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Right. So and this is one technique that you can start using is, sit down every, at the end of the week. So it might be Sunday night, and really prepare for the week ahead. Start mapping out what are the critical things that you want to achieve by the end of that week.
Yeah.
And then actually allocate them in your calendar as to when you want to do them. Okay. I also would suggest is putting a time block to them. So this will also help with the procrastination, but also the perfectionism in some people, where they say, oh, it's not quite right, I'm not going to release it. So if you're writing a blog or an article, there's been many times where I've written an article and then I've, put it out there to the world. And then, even a day later, I thought I should have added this or I should have added that. If I kept saying that all the time, my article would never gone out.
Yeah, yeah. You got to release it like a bird and know that it's not going to come back for you to fix anything. You just have to release it and then move on to the next thing.
That's right. That's right. And this is another thing where it just stops people from, getting started. That's one of the other elements that I want to bring in later on. But getting back to the planning, start doing a lot of that. Have an intention for your week and have an intention for your day. So when you wake up in the morning, and this is what I was talking about before about the passion, and that's one of my values, I want to wake up in the morning and be passionate about what I'm going to do that day.
Yeah.
And for me, actually setting the intent the night before gets me into that space of, being excited and looking forward to who I'm going to speak to or what I'm going to do for the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to touch on that point, that is very crucial, very, very crucial to success of a business. So when we're talking about doing the right things, like you just touched on, about productivity and not have enough time and all this sort of thing.
Yeah.
It is so important for you to sit down, and you must sit down and plan out. And I always do this on a Sunday. Sunday is my work day. I only sometimes get a bit of Saturday off, but Sunday is my work day to plan everything that I'm going to do during the week. And it's very important, because you cannot build a business like this. Wake up in the morning, look at your computer screen, because the first thing you do is bring up Facebook. Then you're going to bring up this, then you're going to bring up that. You have to already have it written down. So I do my to-do list on a Sunday. So Monday morning, it's done. Or I even try to do Monday stuff on a Sunday evening. So then Monday stuff is a Tuesday evening, but that's because I'm time zone different. But being ahead and knowing what you're doing, because you will just end up chasing your tail. And then what happens at the end of the day, you feel crap about yourself because you've not done what you wanted to do. You didn't. And the thing is, the brain doesn't work. You can't tell your brain, okay, now think of what you need to do. You need to do it when you're actually in that productive mode. So there's sometimes, and I like to always touch on hormones. Women, it's very interesting. Women say three weeks of the month are like really good, and 1 week of the month I'm feeling like I'm just can't do anything. I'm like, wow, maybe you should connect that with being a female and what happens. So when you're not, and I'm very passionate about this because that very much affects me. From the 25th to the 30th, I do not book in podcasts because I will cry on the phone. Androulla, I will be emotional. Why the hell would I put myself through that? You need to be aware of your body and what's going on and what your moods are, and you do things when you're feeling really productive, and you do your best work when you're feeling confident. Do your blog post then and release it, because you're more likely to release it when you're in a confident mode than when you're in in the mode where you're feeling a bit emotional. But planning is so important. You must introduce that. If you're not doing that on a Sunday evening or a Monday morning, don't chase your tail. make a plan, and you'll feel awesome at the end of the week. So that is, one, being mindful of what you're doing, that first point from the beginning, and this point, I think are two things. If you started doing your business, you'll see a dramatic change in productivity.
Yeah. And like you touched base on sort of thing about, when you're confident, because people say, when's the best time of the day to do stuff? And I guess everyone's different. So I don't think there's a right and wrong. I find for me personally, actually, I choose to do the top, maybe the top 2 critical things in the morning, because I find that helps me build momentum and get excited. And, I guess, just for me, it helps me build momentum. And then I think, if I've already done this in the first 2 hours of the day, can you imagine what I can achieve in the next, 3 to 4 hours?
Yeah, and you do what you can. Sometimes I have to sit there and have, someone really inspiring, let's say Tony Robbins, someone like that, talking in the background while I'm working. Because there are some days where you are not feeling good, whether it's, something's happened in your personal life or there's lots of things going on, and you're feeling a bit thin with the motivation. It's got nothing. It's just we're human beings. We're going to get tired and we're going to have those days. So you have to work out what works for you to get the job done, because you cannot crawl up in bed. There might be days that you can, but certain days you cannot do that. You have to keep going. So you find out, it might be, sometimes I'll, have a shower. I've done calls when I've been in the shower because I felt so tired. That makes me feel good. And people laugh at that, or in the bath, I'll hold meetings in the bath or wear a robe. So, at times when you're not feeling the best, you have to work out what works for you to keep going. Basically. Yeah,
definitely. And on the aspect, on the side of planning, in your plan, you also have to have basically what are your financial goals and non-financial goals as well. So your non-financial goals are going to be like the activities that you need to do in order to reach those financial goals.
Yeah.
So, setting those KPIs, key performance indicators or targets. And it might be like, for instance, it may be, I need to attend 1 network event a week.
Yeah.
And you might think to yourself, I'm already doing that. So then I would challenge you and say, okay, if doing that is working for you, why don't you do another one? Like stretch yourself a little bit more. Start looking at what is being productive for you, what is working. And if it's working, keep doing more of it. If it's not working, then think about what do I need to tweak about what I'm doing, or is this completely not something that I should be doing at all?
Yeah.
Okay, so another element of planning is really also taking the time to reflect and reassess, because sometimes even when you think about a plan, someone can do a plan a year out, but you should always look at your plan and what's happening, what's the actual results at minimum every single month, like especially your financials at minimum monthly. Like I look at my stuff on a weekly basis, but you should consistently be looking at least weekly, reflecting, and then at the end of the month, look at your financial targets and see if you've achieved them. If you haven't, then you've got to reassess your business and then make those changes.
You have to be careful how you measure these things as well. So let's say, for example, attending a networking event or Facebook ads, or sometimes you're not seeing the results immediately. You think they're not working. So this is the tricky part, because I talked before about, riding that horse and it's not moving. But sometimes it could take 3 months to see those results. So you have to put measurements on things and go, okay, I'm going to give it this amount of time, because you might be putting something, let's say, on Facebook, but no one's responding. No one might be seeing it. It doesn't matter it's not working. That post could be really good, but maybe it belongs on Instagram. Maybe you should have emailed that person. But don't think that what you're doing is not working if the measurements are wrong.
Does
that make sense?
And definitely speak to others that have already done what you're doing, because they will tell you it will take 6 to 12 months for you to start, getting some traction from whatever you're doing, whether it's networking or whether it's, the Facebook ads. There's so many times I hear people say, oh, Androulla, I've done I did a video and I didn't get any likes, or I didn't get comments. And I said, you know what? People don't need to like or comment. They're still watching you. You're still part of your branding. They still know you're there. You're front of mind. That's the whole, thing. You're educating them. So the thing is to always, add value to your audience.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
you can't show it once either. This is the thing that people forget. You have to show up again and again and again for a year, because our businesses come and go, and customers are losing trust in new businesses just popping up. You can't just get on there and do a live video and go, oh, no one liked it, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. You have to give a business a full year of your full attention, give it absolutely everything, measure everything, work out what's working. After a year, then make changes. But every business is different in regards to what people are responding to. And if you don't like doing live video, well, then you got to work out a different way of doing things. Because that's not the end all and, the only way of getting business. But I think you need to measure over a long period of time and then adjust it. And create measurements. But if something does not work, don't think you should give up on it. It just means you need to try it 10 times. After 10 times, if it doesn't work, that means your customers are not needing that information. They want something else. Then you have to ask them.
Yeah, or even it might not be in that, what was I going to say, the platform. So it might be, even how we want to educate people. So some of your audience might be more visual or auditory. You've got to know, you've got to do different, I forgot what the word is, but different platforms so that it resonates with the range of people. Like, some people don't like reading stuff. They'd prefer to read. Learning style. People. So you mix it up. Like we did the podcast because we want to open up events more around Australia and different countries and all this sort of thing. But I'm looking for the right leaders. So what I'm trying to do with these podcasts is base it on some of the subjects that we talk about in our events so people don't miss out. So it's just creating another avenue. And then I'll get this content, put into podcast, put onto YouTube, and put onto the website. So you just sort of get information and you turn it into all different things. So people have access into the way that they want that information. So you could write a blog post. Now, I don't have time to read. I prefer to go for a walk, put on my headphones and get the information that way. But that's me. Someone else in my business is going to learn in a different way or consume my content in a different way. So, that and I need to, like, even when I was working full time and I was still learning on the coaching side of it, I actually used the 1 hour commute from home to work as my time to learn. So I was listening to videos to CDs. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And that was a great way. Like I thought this was using my time productively.
Yeah. Wait a second. I have if anyone doesn't know what CDs are, if you're under the age of 20, they're round things. I was showing my kids these the other day. They're like, oh, yeah, they're round things we used to stick in out of things.
Yeah. Well, now they're probably on a
food today. Yeah.
Now they're probably on a podcast or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Just in case, I got a question. No, I'm being cheeky. Sorry, keep going.
Okay. So we were talking about the planning stage, and I think it's just critical that people do make the time to plan, because I think there's like a saying that a lot of the what's the saying? Something about 80% is all in the planning and 20% is the activity or so. But
that sounds good to me. Yeah.
Yeah. So
you got to execute the right things. I think
that's right.
You have to plan what you want to do, and then you have to execute it. And I think you just get better at it. I know now, I wake up in the morning, I've got this podcast, I've got to work on the magazine, I've got to do this. And I already have procedures in my Trello board that I can just pull out. But that's taken me 5 years.
And when you say that, it was as well where you talked about, being online and showing up all the time. And it's, it's not just about a once off. Like there's some people that I think, oh, geez, I haven't seen them, online anywhere in the last, few months. What's happened to them? Like they've gone completely silent.
Their business is gone. Yeah, I know. Yeah, know what you're talking about. And that's really sad. And they're the ones that call me to cancel a listing because they got so overwhelmed and weren't asking for help. And then you think, well, but I didn't see you. We wanted to buy off you, but you didn't tell us what you were selling. You didn't tell us, and you got so consumed with yourself that you became so scared to come out that and this is where businesses is now. Even if you have a coffee shop, you still have to be online. And if you can't do that, you have to work out strategies, and business isn't for everybody. If you try this and it doesn't work for you, it's okay. Go and do something else, because this is, it's something you have to be passionate about. That word passion, that what you were saying about having that every day, you have to. You have to do that. And if it's hard, you make a choice.
Yeah, and being in business is not about, making a quick buck. That's not what it's about. This is a long-term, to me, it's a long-term commitment, but it's also, I know in my heart that for me, if I'm still living and breathing, I'll still be doing this when I'm in my 60s and older, because I love what I do. Yes. And as long as I can talk, then there's no stopping me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And the thing is, you can't, I've had, situations where, money is tight within a business, because I try to make sure all my money is within the business, not taking it from personal stuff. There's times when, it takes, it's money. You have to spend money on paying for your website and hosting and all these sorts, and it's not cheap. Well, it's not cheap for me, So, sometimes you have to make sacrifices, but they're not sacrifices because I want my website to keep going. I will spend whatever money I have to make sure that this keeps going. And but when you're so passionate, you're not thinking twice. Like, take the money. Don't worry about the handbag. I'm paying for that website. And but when you have to think twice about it, you have to maybe question your passion.
Yeah, and again, it's just prioritizing things for now, and then later on you can, purchase your bag that you want.
Oh, I've got a hole full of Louis Vuittons. It's all good. It's all good. But it's money, and it sacrifices. It's sometimes time. Time is the biggest sacrifice, because a lot of us get into business because of flexibility or for all different reasons. But that's not, you sort of get that in business, but you are working a whole lot more. But it's okay because you love what you do. I wake up 5 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday going, I just want to start. I just want to start. Who can I help? Doesn't mean you're going to have that every day. But when you feel like that. Okay, I've interrupted you again. Sorry. It's my favorite. Okay, this is my favorite topic to talk about, all of this. So I'm just interrupting. Go, Androulla.
All right. So the next point I want to cover is having the support. So basically, being in business, you're not an expert in everything. So what you need to make sure you're doing is seeking the support from the people that have got the expertise in the skill set that you need. So also what I say is go to people that have already done what you're wanting to achieve. So there may be a step or two ahead of you, because they've already experienced what you're going through, and they can help you fast track a lot of this stuff. So support is a key. And like I said before, for me, I've actually had different mentors help me with my business. At different stages, because I needed certain things. I also have support from, having outsourcing some of my technical side of things, because that's not what I'm an expert in. So I'll grab support from there. So you don't have to feel like you've got to do this all on your own.
And you can't. It's not possible. And you burn yourself out. And I've got all different types of backgrounds, but one of them is sales. And I've done door-to-door. I've done all that sort of stuff. And you can go into business, like you can go into sales and, just try to do everything in 6 months. What salespeople do when we burn ourselves out, we leave because you're just working so hard and that's it. You're finished and done. But that's the sales industry. But the same in business. If you're going to go in there and you're going to try to do everything, the marketing, the this, the that, the finance, the blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry, but none of us are superhuman. We like to all think that we are, but there's a breaking point to everything when you push yourself, whether it's the house, whether it's your kids, whether it's your relationship, things start breaking because there is only a certain amount of hours in the day. And it is so wonderful when I finish this podcast that I can hand it over to someone else. Luckily, that's my husband. I only have to pay him with, food.
With love.
With love. And, he's a business partner in this. So, but, I know that people at that next level is, oh, but I can't afford to do that. Well, you just have to start off with what you can and do the best in the areas that you have a strength. Your strength is coaching. So you just do really, really well at that. Don't worry about a fancy website. Don't worry about anything else to do. Just get out to networking events. Do everything you can possibly do for free. Once it gets to a certain point, then you go to the next level. But you will not do that. You can't possibly do everything yourself. You just do what you can.
Yeah, and it'll come to that. It'll come to that stage as well from a perspective of outsourcing. That once you start, growing your business and your time is now booked in with clients, you're not going to want to be doing that, or you don't have the time. You think about what you're worth, your hourly rate, if you have that in mind. When you start getting to that point, you're thinking, why am I even considering doing this specific thing? Exactly. I should really outsource that because I actually can earn more and pay for that item or whatever you're getting them to do and still have money left over.
Exactly. And you know what happens if you, let's say like now you and I are talking. If I had to do all this other stuff beforehand or afterwards, I'm going to start getting burnt out. So when I get onto my next podcast call, which is what's really important, this is what women want to hear is a podcast call. So I need to make sure that I'm in my absolute best, that I'm feeling my best, that I can get there and deliver, because that is what's important. They don't care about who's editing or who's this or those things is where you burn yourself out. So you need to, my strength is interviewing people. People want to hear my voice in the podcast. They want to hear your voice, and it needs to be crystal clear. The right things that you need to do in business, and you cannot fill it with other things that's going to make what's really important not work.
Yeah. And even hearing you say that, it's about not weighing you down, because it actually affects the other stuff that's going on in your business as well, and the things that it could actually start reflecting out to your customers and your clients.
Absolutely. Being up all night trying to fix a website, then you have to get up in the morning and then go coach. I'm sorry, you're going to be looking pretty tired. And then that client's not going to book you again because you're looking tired and you're supposed to be coaching them about balance. And, so you just have to do what you can, be kind to yourself. I always say to people, you have to be kind to yourself in business. Don't overwork yourself in the wrong areas. Try to barter, try to do what you can, because I know money can be an issue for startups, and that's understandable. So you just have to do what you can.
Yeah, and that's, and again, like I was in that same boat. I was doing everything I could on my own when I first started up, because, I was still trying to attract clients at that stage. So, I was able to do some of the back end and learn that. Now that I understand it, I don't really need to do it. I can outsource that to other people, but I still have some understanding of it, that if something goes wrong, I can question it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the support side comes from two ways. One is to outsource some of your work, and the other support side is to get someone to come and help you with either your business. So someone that's actually got the expertise, got the experience, and got the know-how of to run a business. So if you're struggling at the moment or finding it a bit challenging in your business, or even just want to have a chat with someone about, am I on the right track, or do I need to revisit? You know what? Reach out. Like you said, you've got your, the group that we're in. People need to put their questions in there, because, there may be even somebody else that's going through exactly the same challenge at the moment, and you're actually helping somebody else get an answer for their question as well. So, you've got to be okay with asking for that help. That's another thing, and that's the point that I'm going to get to later on. But, you've got to be okay with that, because if you don't ask for help, it's going to just take longer for you to break through some of the blockages or some of the challenges that you currently have in your business. Exactly.
And like we said before, your customers sitting there waiting for you to sort your stuff out. They're waiting. Yeah. They're there. You just have to sort yourself out. If you can, go to a life coaching course. That will sort you out pretty quickly. You need to sort yourself out. Get out of your own way. And when it comes to outsourcing, I think if your business doesn't have that money that's coming in to be able to pay for outsourcing, maybe try to barter. Service. So if you're a photographer, and actually there are two people in a group like this. Someone's a photographer, someone does social media. Swap services. You do their photos. They can help you with the social media strategy. You both get what you want, and you haven't had to exchange money. Some people are against that, but they're the people who have money. They don't understand that really some people do not have the money to pay $300 or 4 or 500, that it's just not there, and that could stop them from moving forward. So be okay to say with someone, I can do this and I can help you with this. Do you want to exchange? And we can both get to that next level. And then once you get to the next level and you do have the money, then you can start having VAs and, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, if it's getting you a step ahead, then, by all means do it.
Yeah.
But know that, this is not, you can't sustain that as growing your business for a longer term. So to just get you by for now, and especially in the startup stage, you've built rapport with a few people and you're both helping each other out. For some people, it might be, I need a bit more experience in this. I'd be happy for us to work together somehow.
Yeah.
And again, that's supporting one another. So that still comes under the umbrella of supporting.
Yeah. And the whole issue, not issue, always issue, there's so many questions around when's the right time to outsource. I mean, that opens up a different can of worms, because there can be blocks in that whole process about, people think that only they can do all the work and that they're the best. And they forget that, hold a minute, someone else could be bringing really good, value. And if you don't like them, well, they're on a contract basis. It doesn't work out and you learn from that. But, if it's about spending the money, well, there's a money block. You have to deal with that. I mean, just each stage opens up a can of worms. And I'm going to speak into the microphone so people can really hear this. Once you find what your passion is, you will overcome anything. You will find a solution to anything. So if you're blocking yourself, you need to go back to your business and you need to really make love with it, as I like to say. Get really close to it, understand each other, because if you're finding excuses, there's a problem with your passion. And then that affects everything. Yeah. So make love with your business and get close. Because you find a solution to every problem, don't you? You would just be like, okay, that's right, we're doing this. Just ask that person or whatever.
Yeah, totally. I totally love that, because I always say there's always a solution to every problem. Yeah. Right? It's just, coming up with all the different solutions and finding one that works best for you right now. So the fourth element that I wanted to talk about was the action side. So like I said, you can have the mindset, you can have the plan and the support, but for it all to come together, you need to sort of, take the actions and take the steps on a day-to-day basis. And
that makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, really.
Yeah.
And I guess this is where we were talking about before, where things like follow-up, people are not, doing that, or, stepping, some of the stuff that they need to take action on is really outside their comfort zone and they're feeling uncomfortable about it. It's something new, and, it can be holding them back. But again, all I say to people is start doing one thing at a time and create that as a habit. Once it becomes a habit, it'll actually be second nature and you won't even have to think about it. It's not, you don't have to think, okay, how do I do this step? It's just a natural thing. So whether it's, picking up the phone and calling some people, or, doing your regular blogs, or going to a network event. The thing is, not even in my situation, I used to think, and I used to procrastinate a lot about, should I go to this event, and I just hold off. Yeah. If you know what your plan is, this is why it all intertwines. If you know what your plan is, and then you determine what are the actions you need to take, then when it comes to making those decisions, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, yeah. And, if you're listening to this and you're not sort of at that stage, it takes time. It just takes time, because you figure out what works. So the planning gets better, your mindset's better, that, your support, it sort of all works together, doesn't it? Just like these wheels. Yeah. And, you get better at the action part because you know it works. And that's when you start setting up procedures. I always say, if you send an email, copy that email, put in your Trello board or whatever format you use, to start recording these things. So then when you get another email and it's the same response, you copy and paste and bam, it's done. There's no, typos, there's nothing else in there but exactly what you have put together, and you can just it's just done. Makes things faster.
And Cassandra, that all comes back to productivity as well. So if you're repeating the same thing over and over, then create a standard template or something that you can just copy and paste instead of having to recreate it all the time.
And it's the action part. I mean, people can struggle with that, because the thing is, if you if someone sends you an email, it's like the follow-up. If you had a follow-up email that you knew that you'd send 2 days after whatever, the sale or the event, but it's already written out, there's less room for your confidence to get in the way, because all you have to do is cut and paste.
Yeah.
That follow-up email, rather than go, what do I say? How do I say it? Should I say hi? Should take the time to write that one follow-up email that you use consistently. So you're able to take action and be productive, because you've already done that groundwork. So setting up all those procedures. I love procedures.
Totally agree. And the other thing is, the key to this is when you set up a process, you're following the process. You're not getting in your head and start thinking, oh, what are they going to think if I put this in? And what am I going to think if, do you know what I mean? So what happens is, this is where all the doubts come into place.
Yeah.
But once you've got a proven email that's been working for you, and again, it's going to take time. You're going to tweak it as you're going along. But once you're happy with it, the thing is, you've set the process and you just follow the process rather than getting back into your head and you start over-analyzing.
Yeah.
So with the action taking, all that has to come into place with those 4 elements. So what I want to really do now is really get into the 4 elements that will help you actually build the momentum, right? So the first thing I want to really cover is getting started. So if there's something that, you've been struggling with at the moment or been wanting to do, just put it in your planner and say, I'm going to commit to doing this week, or whatever day you want to do it, right? Yeah. And just go out and do it. It doesn't have to be perfect. There's no right or wrong. And maybe what you can do is accountability. I think there's accountability that you do in the group as well.
Yeah,
maybe
that's so important. I always do it for myself as well. I put out, okay, this week, actually I've got to do it after we talk. This week we're doing this podcast and this is happening, because that's my way of being accountable. Even though I know I'm going to get them done, because that's the way that I work. But if once you say it out loud, like I always announce my website, the magazine, podcast, events before they happened. I announced I was going to fall pregnant before I was pregnant. I was saying, I'm going home to have sex now, because it makes you accountable, because you said it and there's no way of backing out. And I don't want to be embarrassed. So I'm going to make sure I make that baby and I do that podcast and I do that magazine, because I've said it already. Overshare.
Yeah, so again, it's what works for you. And I find I'm in exactly the same boat, Cassandra. Like with me, I actually, when I put it out to somebody else, I actually feel like I owe them that I need to do this, and it's not even about me anymore.
Exactly.
So for me, that works. And that's why I say sometimes, if you've got the opportunity and someone is offering an accountability, then use it, take it up and put it out there, and just notice how much more productive you're going to be in achieving these goals that you want.
Yeah. And I want to go deeper into accountability with WBS, because I think that helps you take action, because if you are able to ask, that means you've worked through the mindset. Then, that first level, what we've been talking about, and then support. So you're working through that in the end, but you actually just want to take action. And a lot of the times, when I say, I know I'm going to get it done, like I already know that. So it's easy to say it, because there's nothing that's going to stop me. But there's situations with people where there are things that they want to get done, and to say, I want to get this done by the end of the week, but I'm struggling. Can someone be on my back? Because it is hard sometimes to sit down, get completely focused and write that email. Might sound easy to someone else who can write a good email, but to the person who struggles with that, that's not easy. So to have someone to sort of say, come on, do your email. You got 10 minutes, just do it, send it, done. That is gold, because you can have the mindfulness, you can have the support and the plan, everything. But until you sit down and press send, nothing has happened.
That's exactly right.
You feel like, and every email I send or receive, I'm like, oh my God, that's had so much work behind that.
But I also think about so many, I've opened up a Word document and I've written up, an article that I started, and I look back and I think, I haven't even sent that out yet. Like, why did I not send it out? Was it something so I got it started, but I didn't follow through.
Yeah. Instead of accountability, it should be called get over yourself. Get over yourself and send it, or get over yourself and call them. Get over yourself, and because that's all. Accountability is like we can do it. We're capable women, but it's like something that sort of stops us. Those blocks, that getting over ourselves, whatever it is, of getting it done. Yeah.
So even another thing that's happened even for me, like getting started, was and this is something that my mentor helped me with. I was doing it, but not to a level that I wasn't looking at a bigger picture. I was playing small. That was my thing. I was playing small. That was one of my challenges. And maybe I was afraid of playing big. I don't know what it was. But one of the things of getting started, I was doing workshops, but I wasn't doing them to, I guess, the targeted market that I ultimately wanted to have, because maybe I just had these fears of, will I be good enough for them, or I don't know, whatever it was. So for me, I basically getting started and doing these workshops. And what I did was, number one, set the date. Number two, book the venue, and then started the marketing. And the thing was, once I booked the venue, and set the date and marketed, I said to myself, oh my gosh, shit, this is happening. I've now got to do it.
Yeah.
So again, that was holding me accountable, because people relying on me to deliver something, because they've paid to turn up, and they've actually invested their time to turn up as well and learn something of value.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to put yourself in the hot water, or just jump in the water and then you just swim.
Yeah, definitely. And this is something that I started. I've got probably about, what is it, 290. So I've got about 40 weeks of emails already set up now.
Yeah.
So I started from week 1 and said, okay, every week I need to commit. And now as someone new comes along, they'll get onto that nurturing sequence emails. And there's at least up to now 40 weeks of content there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's brilliant.
So it's just about, and that was one thing that I committed to last year, to say, I need to make sure that I'm consistent with this. And this is another key, is once you get started, it's not about a once-off thing. Yeah. It's about making it consistently, you're doing it consistently in your business, and also increasing the standard of what you're doing.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the thing, once you do one email, you just change it. When you do a blog post, you can just, along the way, you just get better. And, it's so good to look back, to look back at where you started from. And some things you have to laugh at. You're like, wow, I was really holding back. I did this with some of the videos on WBS. I was flicking through, and there was ones what I used to do at Christmas time. And even though I'm comfortable in front of the camera, but when it's your business, it sort of takes your time, and video wasn't sort of big back then. And I'll literally get on, hi, Merry Christmas, okay, bye. And that was it. There was like, I wasn't, and I'm not like that. I'm super chatty, super passionate. I mean, you can't shut me up when it's to do with business. And that's my whole life, and I breathe that. But I was getting on there, doing that, and then shutting off. So, I mean,
but the thing is, you got started, right? You started somewhere, and now you're reflecting back. And I mean, I've been in the same boat. I look at some of my videos and I think, what the hell was I thinking?
Yeah.
That got me started. Like, at least then I was comfortable in, not as comfortable, but got in front of a camera, did all that kind of stuff. And now it's like I think to myself, you know what? It's not about me. It's, am I adding value? What am I giving to people out there? But again, things aren't going to be perfect. So the whole point is just get started, get moving, and start building momentum.
Yeah. No, it's funny. And you know what was funny, Androulla, is that particular week I just shot a commercial for an Italian spaghetti sauce commercial. Like, I do that sort of stuff. So it wasn't even about the camera. It's like when it's your own business. There is a stage you go through, and especially when video wasn't big, it's like, how much do you give? Now we give everything. Now you talk about everything. Now everyone's really open. But back then it wasn't sort of like that. People weren't showing up with video. So, things change, and you just got to throw yourself in there. Now video is huge. Just get on there and give it a go. And people love communication. Yeah. People love emails that are genuine and real. So you got to find out what works with your customers, but people want to feel connected. I find that's really important, is customers knowing that you're tangible, that you're real, that you speak like a real person. You know, you want that when you go buy your coffee. You're not going to go somewhere where they're rude. You don't want that. You know, you want somewhere you're going to be where you as a customer that you can ask questions and that person who's providing that product or service is willing to offer themselves and be real with you.
Yeah. And I think even with video, sometimes you've got to put yourself out there and be vulnerable to what is going to come. You're like, you know, there may be, to be honest, not everyone's going to like you, right?
No.
Not everyone's your target market either. And you've got to accept that. So,
I like you, Androulla.
Oh, that's good.
I hope you like me too.
Yeah, I do, hon.
Oh, it's so funny. There was a review I got about WBS why someone joined. They said because in the podcast we said you'd have to be a bit crazy, like if you want to be a part of WBS.
Yeah, and that's one thing. Even for myself, I think another turning point for me was putting out that vulnerability, even doing a lot of speaking events and talking about my story. And really sharing some of my intimate stuff about me and my family. It was actually, I could not even talk about it in the first year or so. So I had to go through that. And I've come to a certain point that it's okay that, you know, I went through that and I need to share it with people so it will serve them as well. It's got to be relatable to what I'm talking about. I don't just throw it out there. And to be honest, I've actually had men come to some of my events and one guy actually said, I was teary-eyed by what you said about your family and how that affected you and why you chose to go into business, because that story was about my husband in the time when I was in corporate, and we were both working at Toyota at the time, and he asked me to actually pick up the kids from after school care back then when they were in school, and we put them in after school care, and he said to me, Androulla, I need you to go pick them up. I won't be able to do it because I'm working back. And I said, look, you know, at that time I was working on a lot of projects and deadlines, and he rang me back in 2 minutes and he said, Androulla, don't worry, I really don't, I can't rely on you anymore. Like, and that really hit.
I just got shivers. That just gave oh wow.
And that was my big, oh my God, something needs to change. That is my why. Like, if your own husband says to you, I can't rely on you.
Wow.
And it wasn't in a bad way. Like, it wasn't, some people say, oh, that was nasty of him, and that. I said, no, it's not, because I actually had to step out and see what was actually going on in my life.
Yeah.
And that was a wake-up call for me. And that was a bit of a defining moment. And this is where I'm saying I can now, even on this podcast, share it with people because I'm at a different stage in my life, and I'm okay with being, people knowing about my journey and sharing some of that stuff that's gone on for me, because it may actually help someone else out there that's going through a similar situation or questioning why they're in business.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't ever lose that reason why. And you don't, sometimes you can forget it, but in those hardest days, you have to stop and go, why did I actually start this journey? What was that turning point for me? Yeah. And, sort of revisit that, because it was that firecracker. And you're probably a different person now that you were before, but, sometimes you need something that sort of jolts you to wake you up, to become more mindful of what's going on, because we do get into that, get up in the morning, it just becomes that way, and you forget about happiness or relationships, actually being really mindful of them. And obviously something was breaking in your life, and you needed that comment from someone you love to go, hold on a minute, something isn't working and the balance is off. It's nothing. You got to concentrate on your own journey and what's going on within yourself, and concentrate on your own business. And I don't believe it looking at competition, because it's straight away you start judging them or yourself or whatever it is. Yeah. And that's your journey. You've got, I'll give you another badge. You've earned your badges. And that's why you're doing so well, because you've worked through everything. And able to really help people, not just. And you even touched on another great point there, where you talk about, it's not about what others are doing. Yeah. I always looked at it from a perspective of, yes, I may benchmark to see,
where my standards can go to. But I was always focusing on me and how can I better myself and how can I challenge myself in my own business. Am I doing better today than what I was doing yesterday? Like I'm always striving for the next level and just improving stuff internally for myself, but also within the business as well.
Yeah.
So, don't feel like, and this is where, again, competition and people get afraid of that. Just focus on yourself and take the energy away from all that kind of thing that's going on over there. And really focus on yourself and improving on yourself.
And it's always going to be competition. You can't be, you can't say, I want to be the only photographer in Australia and book everybody and I'm the best. It's a word of collaboration and that's a whole other topic. But, we have to come to terms with there are people just like us. We're actually not special. We're all human beings. We all can bring value to this world, and to not look at someone who's also a photographer with daggers, but to work out how you can work together, because there are that sort of photographer, and a photographer that does it always not a photographer. You got to be niching because do with lighting, blah, 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 blah. So, you work together. So if someone calls and says, I want baby photos, like I don't do baby photos, goodbye. No, you say, I don't do baby photos, but so-and-so I know does. Boom, that person refers you. So I love competition. To me, no one's competition. We're all friends, because my networking group is for a certain type of crazy, and another networking group is for another type of crazy. And we all, and you support each other. So competition, that word doesn't exist for me, because we're all human beings. We've all got hearts and souls. We've all got families we need to support. So we need to work together.
Yeah. And again, it also brings up another shift that I had from my business where you touch on that. I think I had a mindset of scarcity when I first started out, and I was like just grabbing onto anything, and I was, I would take whatever was in front of me, and I was trying to reach out to people that I really didn't want to work with, or number one, weren't willing to pay for the services as well. So that's when I thought, I've just got to grab what I want. But that was my mindset of scarcity. Whereas when I changed it and said there's abundance of work out there, and didn't fear the fear of not having clients, everything just changed. So again, coming back to that mindset, yes, there are other people doing what I do, but I've got my own unique way of doing stuff. No one can actually copy me as an individual, right? Because nobody can copy anyone as an individual.
Yeah.
You can probably copy some of the processes, but what you bring to the table and how you deliver it, that's your own style.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that was where, for me, the turning point as well was there's heaps of work out there. There's abundance of work out there, and shifting it from the scarcity mindset to the abundance mindset.
Absolutely. And the thing is, you do have to become very picky with who you want to choose to work with, and you have that power as a business owner. And it's so important to actually, and you don't understand this until you've actually learnt this. This is like with children. You can keep telling them until they learn it, they won't believe it. And, I did this. I have a thing where I was brought up by a single mother. I don't want a woman to ever miss out if they didn't have money to connect and grow a business. It's very, very important to me that I help as many women as I can. I grew up with a mother who ran a business and all this sort of thing. So for me, when I started, I wanted to have a free listing. I wanted women to attend events. But then I've realized now, and I have a mantra for this now, if I charge, I've lost it now. If I charge like them, if I charge for them, I'll become like them. So I want to help women who've got established business and grow, because they're serious about it. I cannot save the one. So I remove free listings. I don't have $1 listings anymore. And my caliber of women have changed because they're more established businesses, because the ones before that, they were the ones that didn't have the money, and it's not my responsibility. I cannot save everybody, and there are a lot of other issues that go on. And I had to really go, it's not a money block, it's not anything. It's just that I really want to help women, but they have to help themselves first. Then I can help them. So, it is a process, and things come up from your past. Things come up, it really starts eating you up, and you have to start saying, okay, I need to serve the right people. If I really want to help, I have to serve the right people in line with who I am. So it takes a while. It could take people years to start saying no, going, that person comes to me with excuses. I can't work with them. because of these reasons.
Yeah, and you've also got to be okay with it. Like I've even had a scenario with one of my clients where, you know, I've said to her, you've got to put out a price to this potential client of yours, and you've got to be okay that if they say no, that you can walk away from it.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to be at that point in your business that you're okay that, you know what, you're going to stand your ground. This is what you're worth, and this is the value you can add to them. And if they're not committed to actually paying or investing in themselves to take on your services, you've got to be okay to be able to walk away and say that's fine, and then know that there's other work out there for you.
And there's a big reason for this. I mean, big reason. One, people of certain types of people will speak negatively about your business if you have one hiccup with them. Two, they won't be paying their invoices because they didn't value you to start with. So you're going to have problem chasing money. You know, and I could keep going. There are lists of things that start happening when you start working with the wrong people. So you need to save that energy and go, okay, do I want to chase, you know, let's say it's $5,000 deal. Chase $5,000 deal with this person potentially also could be speaking badly behind me, because that's the sort of anyone that I speak to that speaks negative about someone else, I don't want them in my circle. Because, you know, everyone has hiccups in their business. If those people are there to go, boom, you're doing this wrong, boom, I don't want that in my head. I don't want those people around other women who are trying to build their confidence. Out, run, go away. You're not welcome here. Not that we get that, because I'm very clear with my marketing, you know, what I want to attract. So I don't have those problems. But, you know, there are people running businesses that are just willing to take anything. And they're the ones that are chasing money. They're still in that scarcity mode. They're working with the wrong people. So I really beg anyone, if you feel like there's someone you're just going to do it to take the money, you probably won't see the money, or you will get bad reviews, because those people are toxic to a business.
Yeah. So again, this all comes with time. So if you're starting up, you may still be going through this process. But what I want to reassure people that, you know, it does get easier, and you start getting to a point that, you know what, you start valuing yourself even more, and you're going to attract different type of clientele to you. And really being confident in the way that you speak and the conversations you have, they're all going to start flowing so much easier for you, because you're very certain about who you want to work with and the outcome you want as well. So you've got to have that clarity around what you want. Again, it's helping yourself before you can help others.
Yeah. And the wrong people, you end up spending a lot more time answering questions and all of this sort of thing. And then you're actually taking away from clients that you could be attracting. And I know these are words to people. When you don't understand these things, they seem like just words. There's something like you know, when you're speaking to a child, some things are just words until they learn it themselves. So you know, when I started a business, one of them was in a fashion industry. And I just went nuts. But from going nuts, as in like taking every opportunity, led me to some really big things. So there is space in there to actually just take on every single client, because that's where you actually learn what you don't want to work with. So I wouldn't just take this advice. I would actually just go and take every person, work with all the worst people, because then you go, oh, okay, when that person asked that question or did this, it ended up being this. And you can actually start boxing people. I know it sounds wrong, but you do start boxing people and going, oh, that sort of, and you start seeing patterns. There's patterns in business. And after a while you start seeing patterns. And I actually have all this written down, all my patterns. And when this comes up, it always ends up being that it turns out like this. So, you know, I know what to say to avoid that. And
like you said, and I went through the same thing at the beginning. I was taking whatever I could get, right? And then I actually learned and said, okay, this is not who I want to work with. And even one of my mentors said to me, Androulla, instead of making a list of who's your ideal client, make a list of who you don't want to work with.
Yes.
So you know clearly when they're in front of you, it's like, you know what, I've already made a decision that, you know, you're not fitting the mold from I don't want to work with that type of a personal clientele. You know, it might not even be in the industry. So it's not even about the individual. It might be the industry that you don't want to work in. It might be, you know, again, these are people where you sometimes hear, you know, I'm a coach, and then they branch out they broaden out their coaching expertise, and so they might even take on marketing, but marketing's not their expertise. So do you get what I'm saying? So you got to then eventually, when you get to a point, you'll start saying, no, I don't actually want to do marketing. Why did I even go down that track?
Yeah. And it sounds like we contradicted ourselves a little bit then, because we were saying about making sure they work with the right people, but then work with anybody. So I think what the sort of, to explain it more clearly, I guess what we're trying to say is, in the beginning, go crazy. Go crazy, do everything, because that's how you learn. Then once you're mindful about those people you don't want to work with, then that's when you take action, start being picky.
Yeah, exactly right. And it's a journey. Yeah. Like no one can tell you, everyone's going through their different journey at different stages. So that's why even with me, I can talk openly now about what happened to me at the beginning. But I'll tell you now, in the first year, I was keeping that close to my chest. There was no way I was going to tell people that, I wasn't, generating the income that I am now, and that I was challenged, and I was giving away so much freebies and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm in a different place, and I now feel that what I've learned along my journey, I can share with others that may even be going through this right now. And I guess another key thing is as well, and I mean, as coaches and consultants and mentors, basically it's not about passing judgment on everybody, anyone. It's really, like I said before, everyone is going through their own journey, and we need to respect that. And whatever support others, even for myself or for yourself, like if whatever support we can give them at the time, then let's support them in whatever we can. But we need to respect and not judge people for where they're at, because, at some point in time, we've all been at that stage.
Absolutely.
So, and that was a big thing for me that, and again, I was afraid of people judging me at the beginning when I first went out. And, people were saying to me, you're crazy for giving up what you gave up, when you were in corporate. And I would never dare tell them what I was earning when I first started out in business, because they would have said, I told you so. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so, absolutely.
I totally get where people are at, and I totally understand where people may be holding their cards really close to their chest. But what I do suggest is that you go and speak to someone that will not pass judgment on you, that is prepared to help you through the stages that you're at, and that's if you want want that help.
Yeah, exactly. And and to know it's completely normal. If anyone's going through it now, to know that is completely normal. That is whatever you're feeling, is real, and there is nothing wrong for feeling whatever you are feeling, because that is what you're feeling, if that makes sense. And then that's okay. And you can't put yourself in a bubble and protect yourself from people's judgments, because that is going to happen. And I think as an entrepreneur, you do have to really, grow a thicker skin, because you're going to get that at parties. You're going to get people not understanding. And instead of taking that as a slap in the face, you take it as, I'm not saying what I do in the right way. They're not understanding. And if they don't understand, they're not your cousin or whatever. They don't have to understand what you're doing. They're not your client. So it's okay, because that used to affect me a lot, is feeling like, I wanted to go to certain parties and, be at a certain level. But I realized I was in my own head. They weren't actually being judgmental. I was in the judgmental stage myself. So I was thinking what they were saying I'm not good enough, but the whole time I was good enough. So, but the thing is, it's just it's just your own, it's the things you have to work through. And the best thing is, talking to someone. If it's not talking to someone, just go through the stages. Just my motto is keep on going.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
Just keep moving. Yeah. And that's, again, the building the momentum. So again, like I said, another element to think about. So we said about asking for help, going to the right people, but also thinking about, doing things a little bit differently. So things that may actually, that you should be doing, but you're not doing. Because they're feeling a little bit uncomfortable for you. You've got to think about it. If you're wanting to grow your business, then how will that happen if you're still doing the same thing, but not you can still be having the same routine, but you still got to up it a bit, right? When you're upping that level, or say for instance you're increasing the number of clients you have, And the question then is, how are you going to manage that? So you've got to change a few things.
Yeah. So can you tell everyone, and I know you would know what this is straight away, if someone knows that sending the email will get them the results, or doing the Facebook Live, or doing speaking, or whatever it is that they know very clearly that's going to actually help their business, but they keep doing all the things that are comfortable, that is not working, and they're mindful of this. Explain what's actually going on there, what they're actually doing.
You said that they know that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think it's a fear of failure, like fear of maybe it's not going to happen. So
and
we
sabotage,
all know
self-sabotage.
Yeah, so they're sabotaging. But I can tell you from my experience as well, and I'll be brutally honest.
Yeah.
Out there where people have said, I've made tens of thousands of dollars from a workshop that I've done. And I think that's BS. Like, how can you make like $10,000 to $20,000 or $100,000 from a workshop, right? Yeah. So that was in my mindset. So I thought, and to be honest, there was a lot of numbers that were being thrown out there.
Yeah.
And, when my mentor said to me, Androulla, I want you to run a workshop, but I want you to target, and I did it in the morning because I wanted to target business people that were burnt out and didn't have enough time for themselves and needed, I guess, to have more efficiency in their business to make that time.
Mm-hmm.
So what we did, basically I said, okay, is this going to work? Because I didn't believe in it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I didn't believe in it. And then I ran my first workshop, and, from that first workshop, I was able to generate $30,000 worth of income.
Yeah.
And that was where the proof was in the pudding. And this is why I say to people, your confidence doesn't just turn up. The confidence turns up when you've actually taken the steps and done it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when you said before about, people know that they're going to get the results, and they know that if they send an email out or they're going to have, do a workshop, they know that they're going to get the results. I think another step that that could hold them back as well is, well, how do I do this? Yeah. They start getting into the details and get overwhelmed, and they say it's too hard.
Yeah. And some people, it's like knowing that you need to lose weight, but you sabotage that by eating something you're not supposed to, because the idea of what's going to happen when you actually lose the weight, who you become, that's the bit I'm talking about, is the scary part. So this is what I was trying to tap on. So I know what I needed to do to get my business to this level. But to get yourself to that stage, it's okay. I know if I do this is what I'm going to get. Am I ready for this? So we often play small because we know that email is going to get us results. We know that we do that workshop, we're going to get that money. Then that's the bit that people are often scared of, and that's where the self-sabotage comes in. So that's where
I know what you're coming at, the fear of success and the fear of, wow, what happens if I get too big? How am I going to be able to work through this?
Yeah. Well, business is only, it makes sense. It's common sense that when you take action, when you move something, I call it the domino effect in business. Set the domino up, and if you knock it down, it causes a reaction. And a perfect example of this is I'm in a different time zone, obviously. So at night time, I set off a lot of emails and everything. And I know if I do that, I'm going to wake up in the morning to an extra ticket sale, to an extra member, to an extra this, to an extra that. But if I do not do that, I did not set a domino effect. Yes. Because it's all about action. So if you want something to happen, and I do sometimes those emails at night because I think everyone's awake, and I like when you guys go to sleep because my confidence gets boosted a bit because I'm like, okay, everyone's asleep, I can just work now. So, you set up a domino and you have to knock it down. If you choose to not knock it down, you will not get a reaction.
Yeah.
That's common sense. So if you want extra customers, you have to set up the domino and the right dominoes with the right, little circles or whatever, create that beautiful domino and then knock it down. And every single day I do that, and every single day I get a reaction. And then the days I don't get a reaction. That's my fault. Oh, it's going to be always your fault if it's not working.
Yeah. And I guess that's a really good metaphor or way of looking at it, because some people say, oh, my business is dried up or things aren't happening for me. And when you get really down into the nitty gritty, it's because they've stopped doing what worked for them or what they were doing before. Yeah. And for whatever reason it is, everyone's got different reasons, but you do see the difference. Like I know even with me at one point, when I got to a certain level where, I had a certain amount of clients, and that was my highest peak a few years ago, whereas it's different now. And I actually stopped my marketing. And then all of a sudden, things started drying up. And
you
I had to work
the marketing domino. You removed your marketing domino.
I removed that. And I had to work twice as hard to build my business up again to a point. And now I've always said, that marketing is going, that domino needs to stand there and start knocking up the dominoes over.
I always think of this. So I want to ask you, because I think this is really, really important for planning and action, is what are your dominoes? What do you know that, and you would know this in your business now, what domino do you know if you set up and then knock it down or whatever you need to do will get you whatever reaction that you want?
Okay. So the key things that I've got going already in my business, this is just some of them.
Yeah.
Networking, definitely getting out there networking, and connecting with maybe 2 or 3 people that I felt a connection with. Do you know what I mean? Like there may be a room of 40 people, but there's some people that depending on their journey and the time and the conversation you're having, there may be 2 or 3 people that I choose to maybe connect with outside that room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So that's taking another, and again, we're getting back to follow up and making sure that when you say to someone, you're going to call them and catch up with them, do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I consistently do. Another thing is my nurturing of my database. Yeah. That, that weekly email goes out to people. Mm-hmm. Another thing that I do is every quarter is do an event. So whether it's going to be a webinar or whether it's an offline event where it might be some learnings and teaching. So I call it like a bit of I used to do them as a business breakfast and share some content. So definitely doing some type of workshop or webinar to help educate people is something that I do.
Okay. So how long did it take you to know that they were your dominoes?
Oh, gosh, I reckon.
This is really important for people to know this because your action happens more when you throw yourself in there, get really, really dirty, work out who your customers are, go through that process, work out your procedures, work out, okay, when I did this, I got this reaction. That's a reaction I want. That's my domino. But that only takes by getting out there like you did and taking action and learning. So, so how long did that take for you?
I reckon, and this is what I want people to learn from my mistakes, to be honest, after 2 years of being in business.
That's normal. That's actually quite good. Some people it could be 3 or 4. Yeah, that's quite good.
And the thing was, again, I was, the ego thing and not wanting help. I was trying to do it on my own, and it was only until I got a mentor to help me through some of these blockages that I had and some of the stuff that I needed to get moving was where I thought, oh my gosh, I could have done this so much earlier. So, but again, it's everyone's at their own journey and no one can change that. And I wouldn't change anything as it's turned out, but I'm just telling people that, and you know what, me even telling you what I'm currently doing in my business, if you even took 1 or 2 of those things and started doing them regularly in your business, then you'll start noticing the momentum building.
Yeah. And, being honest inspires a lot of people because I think people withdraw and all these sorts of things when they're, when people like us are not being honest. Yeah. Because you could have said, it took me 3 months and someone's 2 years down the track and they're like, it took them only 3 months. That's it. This is not cut out for me. I'm finished. I'm done. Goodbye. So we all need to be honest because the thing is it's common sense. We're human beings. It takes a long time for us to get over that ego stage. It takes a long time to work out what works because it just takes time. And then once you know what works, you know what your dominoes are, you are able to clearly tell me very, very quickly. And I know that takes time to even recognize what works for a business. Yeah. And then once you know, that's when momentum starts. So the quicker you get out of your own way, the quicker you stop the voice inside your head, the quicker you can do that which just means making mistakes, the quicker then you can go and know what action to take. You just got to sort of filter through that smog. And there's no clear answer, is there, to, from your business to someone else's?
Yeah, and to be honest, I actually didn't know, coming out of corporate, this was all new. I didn't even know there was network events out there for businesses. I had no idea. I think it took me 6 months before I went to my first one.
Yeah.
So just even that one domino took me 6 months to realise there was these network events out there for businesses. And another point that you just brought up, I think is really, really relevant, especially when you're your own business owner. And I think I put this back into corporate as well, but you need to start celebrating and recognising your successes.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Without those, I mean, it's like, you got to think we're working by ourselves. We don't have Friday night drinks and rubbing shoulders with our co-workers.
Yeah. No, but, and again, I mean, we always focus on the negative, but what about all the good stuff that happened and start recognizing, giving yourself recognition for it? Because why I brought up corporate is, how many people say, I never get recognized for the great work that I do. Well, you know what? Why shouldn't we recognize ourselves in our own businesses for the great work you do?
I mean, you have to really celebrate whatever it is at any stage of business, because the mind has a really good way of tricking you to think you're not doing very well. It's the easiest thing, like we know the brain likes to do. So you got to keep telling it, no, you're good at this. You're doing a good job. You're okay. You're okay.
Well, I must say that I'm going to celebrate at the end of tonight, because this is actually the first time I've actually been on a podcast. So
no way. Yes,
natural. So when I saw your invite or your invitation, I sort of thought, oh my gosh, do I do this? Do I not do this? And I must say I hesitated for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and I thought, what the heck? Let's just go with it.
I'm so happy. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for taking
what? And I just thought, I've done different things. I've spoken at events, and I've done my own workshops, but this was something that I thought, no, I haven't done this before. I would love to serve whoever's out there and listening. And it's challenging me, and it's also showing others that this is something that I'm getting outside my comfort zone, but I'm prepared to do it. And I'm trusting you. I'm trusting you, Cassandra, to just guide me. Right?
Well, you're the one that's doing a great job. I'm just sitting here with my coffee, relaxing. It's how I like to do my podcast. So, okay, before I ask you the last few questions and wrap up, is there anything else that you want to share in regards to everything we've been talking about? We've discussed enough, so if you have nothing left in the voice box, there's no problem.
Yeah, no, I think we've covered a whole range of different avenues and different things that people can, my hope for today is that, you walk away, the people that are listening are going to walk away, and they might actually come up with 10 different things that they want to implement or were aha moments for them. Jot those things down as you're listening to the podcast, but then say to yourself, what is the 1 or 2 things that's really going to help me accelerate and build momentum in my business right now? So that you don't get overwhelmed, but just focus on those things and start implementing them into your business. So, and again, hear it back in the next, in 2 to 3 months' time, because again, we sometimes delete and distort the information that we have based on where we're at. So, people listening to this, now and may listen to it in 3 to 4 months may get something different from what we're talking about.
And obviously I'm going to add my part because I like to do that. And I think, in business, it is about taking a deep breath in, saying I trust myself and moving forward, because if I didn't do that and you didn't do that, we would not be talking right now. All right. So I have some questions for you to wrap this up. So what are your 2 top business tips?
2 top business tips. Just trying to think. Okay, because there's so many. Like I said, wake up with an intent. So every day, know what your intention is. So pre-plan. Anything you do, you have to have an intention for.
Absolutely.
That's what I look at it. Yeah. Another thing is also consistency. making sure that you're doing, it's not a once-off thing. It does take time to generate whatever you're looking at. So whether it's more clientele or more leads, whatever it is, it does take time. So consistency is an essential thing. And as we spoke about before, it may not happen overnight, but you've got to regulate it and look at it over time period. Because as we know, your business doesn't just grow overnight. So I think consistency is a key that then becomes a habit and just becomes your part of your business, which you don't end up thinking about. Because the way you've set it up, most of it will be automated, as yours is as well with your business. So they're probably some key stuff. The other thing I want to just cover as well is maybe I don't know if we touched on this, but it's the environment you choose to be in as well, which is really important. So have a look around you. What's that environment? If you're finding that it's a little bit toxic or it's not the environment you want to be in, then you've got a choice to either choose to stay in that environment or pull yourself out of it.
Dream destination, and have you been there? If not, when are you planning to?
Okay. I don't know why, but I've been saying to my family, I just want to go to Dubai.
Okay.
I've never been. I don't know much about it. I've heard at one point in time, even last year, Dubai just kept coming up. Maybe it's what I'm focusing on and I keep hearing it everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just want to know. I'm just probably curious about what it's all about. So that's probably my next dream holiday, I think.
When's the last holiday that you went on?
The last one was one of my not dream holidays, but something I had on my bucket list, and that was going on a cruise with the family, a 10-day cruise. We went to Vanuatu, New Caledonia, and a few of the other islands. So that was probably about 2 years ago we did a cruise.
Okay, so you need to prepare yourself for Dubai on the bucket list. Yeah, sounds
Dubai,
like you've done one that will let me know when you go. All right, the next one. Well, because I know I can tell by your personality, if that's on your list, you will make that happen. You'll find a way of making it happen. You made the last holiday happen, and that was a destination. Yeah. So I look forward to seeing the pictures. Next one, what's your favourite food?
Oh, my favourite. I love seafood.
Seafood,
whatever it is, seafood. I like, prawns, oysters.
All right, stop. You're making me hungry. That's my favourite food. I haven't had breakfast or lunch yet. So that was a stupid question for me to ask because now I want prawns and it's not going to happen. All right, that sounds good to me. I'm sounding like we need to meet in Dubai to talk business and eat seafood together.
Oh, yum. Sounds beautiful.
Maybe that's not your dream. You probably want to do it with your husband, but I'm just going to crash the party and come along. And the next one is, what's your favourite app to use on your phone for business?
For business?
Yeah.
The common ones that I'm currently using, I guess, are Facebook, and I guess LinkedIn, and my calendar.
Yes,
it's not an app.
I was waiting for that one. No, that's good. That was mine. I was going to help you by saying calendars. I love the alarms. Mine is the alarms. You got to be here. You got to do this. Calendar's beautiful. Yeah, that's a good one.
My calendar, because basically that determines, like, again, before I go to bed tonight, I don't have to get onto my computer. My phone, your phone is always accessible.
Yeah.
So I want to know before I go to bed, what's my day set up for tomorrow, and I'm, all prepared for it. So, I love my phone. It's and having the calendar on there, setting up reminders for myself as well. So, making sure not being late for anything.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic. It's even like when we book in the podcast, we use Calendly. So you put in your topic and all that sort of thing, and then it actually just puts in my calendar. So I can have a look and go, okay, that's what I'm doing today. That's all the details. Rather than going into a diary or this and this, the calendar just has everything that's going on with all the information. And they're the process. They're little things that just make business a bit easier when you have the right. And this is why I asked about the app, because there's so much, there is a lot of technology out there. It doesn't mean you have to use it all. You just have to work out what works for you, which is a whole nother podcast, because the calendar, for you and I, helps us keep us on track and organized. And I also love Trello. That's like I use
Trello as well. Love it. Yeah. And Dropbox. Yes. Dropbox is another thing where if I'm, out and about, I can just bring up a file even on my phone, my iPhone.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And so there's those little things that you learn. You find the ones that work for you. I mean, Trello, I owe the success of WBS of 2017 to Trello because everything is in there. I can pull it out. I could be at a doctor's appointment with my children, get on Wi-Fi, get that thing, put it up, and it looks like, you're doing all this stuff. But really, you're living life. You can just put it out of your phone, especially social media stuff. So there's little things that you find out what works for you. So, okay, excellent. Well, that is a wrap, I think. That was absolutely
wow.
Thank you for sharing. Oh my God, we started at 9:00 and it's 12:00. It's your bedtime.
So we've just spent the morning together, and you've spent the evening at my place, basically.
Yeah, exactly. It sounded like you just popped champagne then. That was not champagne.
Oh no, I just had a clap.
It sounded like pretend it's champagne. That's a champagne moment.
Yeah.
So that's it for this episode of the WBS Podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. You can find all our episodes on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, or by searching for Women's Business Society on any podcast player. If you're a female entrepreneur, head on over to WBSociety.com to find out how you can become a member. Whilst you're there, check out the WBS magazine, which is full of tips to help grow your business. The Women's Business Society promotes, connects, and motivates female entrepreneurs. We look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.